you, but every touch is on love. It's true love. Oh, I should be running. Oh, you keep me coming. Land in Miami. The air was hot from summer rain, sweat dripping off me before I even knew his name. Love, it felt like
I can see you guys shaking your heads and pretending you're exercising. I know I can see you. Hey, Felix, I see. Hey, yeah, so good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you're tuning in from. It is such an honor to have you, and we're really, really excited that you could join us here for this webinar. This is our third webinar of season 8, and we are looking forward to an amazing conversation. I know when we sent out the flyer, somebody was like, Yani, you have decided to speak to us personally. And I'm like, yes, because this thing of us starting the gym on Monday for the last 3 years cannot continue happening. We have to do things differently. And remember, our theme for this year on Get It Right with Atara Solutions is transcending our limiting beliefs. Now, if you think the gym is the problem, I am sure there are other ways you can work out that can give you clarity. So, before we delve into that, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Grace Nzula. I'm a HR consultant with Atara Solutions. Atara Solutions is a HR consulting firm. We offer HR consultancy if you're looking for job evaluations, if you're looking for HR audits, if you're looking for salary surveys, if you're looking for job groups, if you're looking for, what else do we do? HR policies to be updated. If you're looking for performance management, we offer those services. If you are looking for talent, we do recruitment and selection for supervisor to management level. Yes, we actually offer recruitment and selection. You can check, if you're a job seeker who is on the call, you can check out our LinkedIn. If you're a HR professional who is looking to be supported, or an organization which is looking for talent, then we will be able to support you in that. And of course, we do learning and development, where we offer training sessions, both in-house, and we have a number of trainings coming up within the year. I think our first paid webinar will be in April with an amazing speaker. You guys are gonna love her. You will enjoy that session, I can tell you for a fact. She's somebody who really helped us get through COVID and realize what the law is about. But besides that, we also have a couple of sessions happening. We have the growth grid mentorship. Where is this? Here. Just 1 minute. Sometimes okay, found it. Yeah, so we have what's going on with my technology today? Okay, here we go. All right, allow me to invite you to a couple of conferences that you really need to invest in. Next week, we shall be in Zanzibar for the International Digital Workplace Summit, which will be taking place from 25th to 27th of February at Golden Tulip in Zanzibar. This is a presidential event. The president of Zanzibar will be joining us, and we have quite a number of different speakers and delegates who will be joining us to just discuss how technology and digitization is impacting the HR space and the technology world as well. So if you are around Tanzania, if you're around Kenya, if you're around the world and you wish to join us, please come next week. We shall be in Zanzibar. And of course, in March, we shall be in Cape Town for the HR Professional Strategy Bootcamp at Grand West. If you're looking for an opportunity to visit Cape Town, this is your time. It is your time to shine. And of course, my favorite part of this month is that we shall be launching the cohort 3 of our growth grid mentorship program. This is an 8-week session on for HR professionals. If you are a HR professional and you want to take your game to the next level, it is your time to shine. You need to join us for this 8-week program, which will be starting on the 4th of March, and it shall go for about 8 weeks. It's intense. We do peer mentorship, we do one-on-one sessions, we do whatever. It's a very structured mentorship program, and we're going to be looking at how you can develop HR policies, HR audits, HR budgets, HR reports, among others. For more information, you can always reach out to us. This is a mentorship program by Atara Solutions, and you shall meet myself and my colleague Anne Mamonje. We shall be your mentors for this program, and it's a very affordable. It's only 24,000 for the non-Kenyans in the room. It is actually less than $300. So please grab the opportunity. It's actually about $190. So it's affordable for you, and I can tell you it is value for money. And of course, I am here with my co-host Richard. If you can just introduce yourself quickly.
What if you have content and you do not know how to put it across very well? Some of us have got very many ideas, but problem is presentation. Magoma is my name, and I assist people in putting their lovely, lovely ideas across so that you can create impact and also you can monetize. Today is about fitness. Over to you, Grace.
Thank you, Richard. It's always an honor. So if you want to actually get coaching for interviews, then you need to speak to Richard. And if you want to learn how to be an amazing public speaker, then you need to also see Richard. So at this point in time, like we said at the beginning, we have been starting gym again on when. Please put it on the chat. When was the last time you worked out? Just put it on the chat. I know I have company here. My colleague Anne, who says is a fitness enthusiast, has been on my case for the longest, and it might please you to know I have been working out this year. But yeah, Peggy says early 2025. Anne says I left gym 30 minutes ago. Aisha, more than two months ago. Let us know, when was the last time you actually worked out? Rose Wangari, 30 minutes ago. Grace Minor is on it right now. I love it. Please let us know, when was the last time you worked out? Barack says last year. Fanny's Friday last week. Judith, it is in my mind only. Emily today, Archie this morning at 4:45 a.m. Joy last week Thursday, Tamia 10 minutes ago, Doreen this morning. All right, you guys are focused. Thursday last week, amazing. I must admit, the whole of 2025, the only workout I did was leave my bed to the kitchen. Finish. But yes, we can always speak from where we left. Of course, Wangare says, I ran 14 kilometers in the morning, tomorrow 20 kilometers. Wow, I envy you guys. Right, so with us this evening is none other than Hillary. He's here. I wonder how many times, Hillary, you actually work out, because from your bio, I realized you're very passionate about do I call it physical wellness, or do I call it full wellness? I don't know.
Health
whichever.
And fitness.
Health and fitness. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So Hillary is here to tell us how we can maximize our full focus and be able to be productive in our in the different life facets of our life. He's a lifestyle and health consultant. He's a ACE certified health coach, personal trainer, and GFI wellness ecosystem consultant. That is, he conceptualizes, designs, and manages health systems. Where? Hilary, please tell us, how do we become more productive? Because I am telling you, hey, take it away.
Thank you so much. I think I'll just start by introducing myself. My name is Hilary Adala. I'm a lifestyle and health consultant, just like you said. And what is a lifestyle and health consultant? A lifestyle and health consultant does not just focus on the physical health only. We do holistic health, which now is there's physical, there's mental, there's emotional, and there's spiritual. So this is now what we call holistic wellness. Yeah. So currently, I'm the general manager at Hayat Fitness. That is where Anne Omonje comes. So she's an enthusiast. Yeah, that one is on another level. Myself, I'm an expert in fitness, but I can't get to her level of fitness. So she's just on another level, and she's an inspiration to most people. Part of what I do also is I said I do wellness. I build wellness ecosystems. And I do a lot of work with HRs in building corporate wellness programs, but we build them based on company culture and structure. So we come up with programs that are based on your budget also. Yeah. And today I'm going to talk about how we can supercharge productivity by physical fitness and nutrition. And to add to that, I'm also going to talk about rest or reset. Yeah. So there's exercise, which is physical fitness, nutrition, and rest or reset. Those are the three things we're going to talk about today. So I hope everyone in class has taken a pen and a paper, because there's a lot we're going to learn tonight in a very short time that I'd want you to make sure sticks with you. Yeah. So when I start with physical fitness, I want to break them down. There are 5 components that I want us to talk about. And physical fitness does not just mean going to the gym alone. I'll talk about the many other activities that can keep you active, because every time people hear something to do with physical fitness, they think it's just going to the gym only. Yeah, the people who don't have that time, yes, as much as we'll want to create that time, but the people who will not find that time. But there are other activities that can still sustain our physical well-being, that also supports our mental, our emotional, and spiritual well-being. So now I'll talk about the 5 components of fitness. And the 5 components of fitness, I'll start with number 1, is cardiovascular endurance. Every time you hear people talk about cardio, oh, cardio this, cardio that, and I know sometimes people who don't go to the gym, they think that is showing off, because people who go to the gym talk a lot about the kind of activities they do, and cardio is normally on top of the list. So what is cardio? What is cardiovascular endurance? So cardiovascular endurance, when you talk of cardio, basically is the heart. So the heart is a pump, and this is the pump that supplies blood throughout your body. In that blood is where there are nutrients, is where there's oxygen, and the same blood is where there's everything that all your cells need in the body. So that's why it is very important, when your heart is healthy, then the supply of nutrients and everything gets to where they're supposed to get to in time. Yeah. So when your heart and blood vessels are functioning the way they're supposed to function, then you end up supercharging your productivity, because things work the way they were meant to work. And that's why cardio is the first component that people need to make sure that they work on. But apart from cardio, we also have other components that we have to work on. And cardio is examples of cardio is running, there's cycling, there's walking, and just 3 or 4 sessions a week of 30-minute exercises are able to reduce your stress levels by 50%. Yeah, 50%, 3 to 4 times a week, 30 minutes only. It's able to reduce your stress levels by 50%. Okay, so that is cardio. So I've said cardio, there's cycling, there's walking. So with cardio, a lot of people don't like doing cardio, and it's because not everyone likes running. Not everyone likes cycling. So you need to pick cardio that works best for you. Because most of the time, the reason why most people fall off the chart of exercise is being forced to do things that you don't like. So you need, first of all, to find things that are interesting to you, that keep you active, because at the end of the day, what is more important is that consistency. And consistency cannot come in if you're doing things you don't like. You'll have a burnout very fast. Second thing we'll talk about is muscular strength. And muscular strength is where now we lift. And that's why it's very important for us to lift weights. A lot of ladies have issues with lifting weight because they think that when they lift weight, they're going to look like men. They're going to look more masculine, which is a lie. The reason why you'll never look like a man is because the hormones that run in your body are different. A man has more testosterone, which is responsible for the physical features that a man has. Women have more progesterone, and estrogen, which is responsible for their feminine features, for their soft features. So as a woman, if you lift, if you do heavy, the only thing that is going to happen is you're going to tone your body. And for those women you see who become very muscular, is because they use steroids. Now, steroids puts back, it's basically you injecting testosterone into your system. And that is why you'll end up looking like those very, very muscular women. And naturally, a natural woman who just works out normally will only tone your muscles. You're not going to build a bicep or a tricep that looks like a man. So let's just get that out of the way. So the ladies who always go to the gym and they're scared, they only want to do cardio, just know how important it is for you to do strength training. Because as we age, what happens is we lose function. And the reason why we lose function is because we lose muscle. Aging basically means losing muscle and losing flexibility. So how do we reverse aging? We reverse aging by increasing our muscles. And we increase our muscles by working on building our muscular strength. Okay, so we do that by lifting. And it doesn't have to be the gym only. Like I said, we'll talk about other activities like things that you just do from the house, activities of daily living, or just walk more when you're doing, just lift more things in the house, those are activities of daily living. And they end up restoring, actually they build your muscle, or if it's maintaining, they do that. Yeah, because right now we live a very sedentary lifestyle that involves you wake up very early in the morning, the first thing you do after your breakfast, you take an elevator from your house, you get to your car, from your car you get to your workplace, elevator again, you sit in the office the whole day. So what is happening is we end up losing a lot of muscle. Yeah, and that is now what contributes to aging. Okay, then thirdly, in the components is now what we call muscular endurance. Yeah, the other one was muscular strength. Right now, this one I'm talking about muscular endurance. Muscular endurance is how long you can sustain your workout. Muscular strength is how heavy can you lift at once, or it's called a 1 rep max or 1 repetition max. How much weight can you lift at once? That is muscular strength. Muscular endurance is how many reps can you do to failure. Can you do 20 reps of bicep curl, or can you do 30 reps? That is now what we call muscular endurance. Very, very important. Number four, component number 4 is flexibility. As we age, we lose muscle and we also lose flexibility. The reason why we end up having a lot of issues, back issues, all these things come because as muscles become weaker and we lose flexibility, the chances of them of having an injury is very, very high. That's why after you've done your workout, you've done your cardio, you've done your strength training, it is very, very important that you do stretching. And stretching increases your flexibility. Flexibility gives tone to your muscle and it protects it from injuries. So it's very, very important. Another thing when you're stretching is when we work out, there's a buildup of lactic acid and carbon dioxide. So this lactic acid builds up in our lymphatic system. And once it builds up in our lymphatic system, that is what brings the muscular soreness. Have you gone to the gym the first day and you find an instructor who really pushes you, and the next day or the next few days after that, you're in pain? Your whole body is in so much pain. That is because of the buildup of lactic acid in your muscle. And that is something that can be gotten rid of by proper stretching. When you stretch properly, you remove that tension and you remove the lactic acid and you drain your lymphatic system. One mistake a lot of people make when they start their workout is they want to lose so much so fast, or they want to gain so much so soon. And that puts so much pressure on a body or a system that was sedentary for a long time. What you'll be doing is you are coating injuries, and the other thing is your brain cannot, your brain is a muscle, yes, but sometimes it does not really take change very lightly. It resists change in the first place. So what you need to do is you need to feed it. You start from the known and then you move to the unknown. So you start with the light, and then as you continue, your brain continues absorbing and accepting that this is actually possible. I can actually do this. And the moment you do that, now that is where we build consistency. A lot of people do not maintain consistency in the gym because they start, they do too much too soon. And then within a month or two, you have a burnout. So that's why, in terms of how many times you come to the gym, if you haven't been going to the gym, start with just 3 or 4 days a week. Don't do 6 or 7 days a week. If you do 6 or 7 days a week, then you're not giving your body enough time for recovery. And when there's not enough time for recovery, you end up actually creating more problems. Your body becomes, in terms of, you're more susceptible to injuries when you do that, because your system has not yet adjusted to what you're doing. So that's why we need to do a system adjustment slowly over a longer duration of time. And the moment that consistency comes in, you realize that when you don't work out, you feel that there's something missing. And this is what makes people become gym rats. And you see Anne going to the gym, she'll be there in the morning, I'll see her in the morning. In the evening again, I'll be with her, Why? Because to her now it's become a drug of choice. Yeah. Because she knows the euphoria that comes with the pump when she's doing the weights, when she's doing her running, because it creates a lot of dopamine and serotonin. These are hormones that supercharge you, and it's pleasure, and you just feel so good about yourself. It builds your confidence, your self-esteem, and all that. That's why now when people end up loving the gym, you ask yourself, are these people mad? Because it's some sort of crazy that someone else who doesn't go to the gym will not understand. And then basically we say your health, how good if your health is so good, then definitely that determines your performance. If your health is bad, then definitely your performance is mediocre in all aspects of your life. Yeah. So basically, when I say all aspects of your life, it's all aspects of your life. Yeah? You can't perform in any aspect of your life if your health is failing. Because when you're thriving health-wise, then everything else works like clockwork. So component number 5 is what we call body composition. Now, body composition is very key. Body composition basically means how much of your weight or how much in your body is muscle, how much in your body is fat, how much is water percentage in your body, what is your bone density. These are the things that we talk about. How much fat do you have around your belly area? How much fat do you have around your visceral organs? That is what we call body composition. Because you'll find that most people go to the gym and the first goal they have is losing weight, especially for ladies. While in real sense, we don't put into consideration that sometimes we have different body types. And your body type is not the same as a Chinese person or an English person. We all have different body types, even within ourselves, yeah, within our tribe. Okay, we have different body types because we're made up of different genes. So there are people who are heavy boned, there are people who are not as heavy. So when you go to the gym and your goal is to lose weight to look like someone else, you'll never achieve that goal. First of all, you need to understand your body. Understanding your body, what you'll do is it's going to help you to come up with a program that helps you achieve the best version of yourself. Not the best version that looks like someone else, the best version of yourself. And this is achieved over a longer period of time. You have to set, when you're setting goals, they have to be smart. You have to do that smart objective setting, where now there's you have to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be attainable, you know, all that, and then time bound. You have to be very specific, but you come from you come from a background of understanding your body and understanding what can be done and what cannot be done. So once you start there and that consistency comes in, then in the long run, you'll end up achieving your goal, because this is supposed to be a lifestyle. Gym is not something we do for a month or two because I'm supposed to go to the beach in April. It's not something that I do because I'll be going for summer in America in July and on August, and I want people to see me. No, it's, you know, this. I always say this. It's always somewhere around the world. Yeah, it's always somewhere around the world. So what you need to do is always make sure that you sustain and maintain your fitness, you maintain that body, that you can always go to the beach any day. You're not working on building a beach body, you're working on maintaining that beach body that you built. And like we've said, a healthy body and a healthy system makes you more productive, and it makes you perform better. Okay, so those are the 5 components of exercise that I wanted us to talk about. And now after that, I'm going to go a bit into nutrition. So if there's any question so far, I think maybe I can take some questions before I go into nutrition. And then lastly, I'll talk about rest or reset.
We only have one question that you can take, and then we probably take most of them at the end. We have somebody who's asking, when is it a good time to work out? Morning or evening?
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. And this is normally a question that is very important, but most people don't know how to answer it. I'll say the best time for you to work out depends on your body. There are people who, when they work out in the morning, they're supercharged for the day and they're ready for the day. Okay? There are people who, when they work out in the morning, it's okay. But when they work out in the evening, you find that there's what we call your sweating threshold. There's someone who, when they work out in the evening, they're going to have so much energy that it will end up affecting their sleep. There's someone who's not going to sleep until 1 or 2 a.m. because they worked out in the evening. So if you're that kind of a person who, when you work out in the evening and then you take a shower, it affects your sleep, your body is communicating to you that you're supposed to work out in the morning. Now, there are some people who they feel sluggish and it's so hard for them to wake up in the morning, and evening works best for them. All of us are different. Our bodies, we have to first of all accept that we are different. So that's why we need to find our sweet spot. We need to find what works for you. That's why programs are supposed to be customized based on maybe what times work best for you. Because the people who are night owls, their performance in terms of concentration is better at night. There are some who's better in the morning. But for most people, morning is the best, and I normally feel it's more convenient because you're getting it out of the way. Because when you do evening most of the time, you'll find that if you had a very busy day and if you had maybe a bad day, it tells your brain that maybe I just need to go home and rest. That day you've skipped your workout. But the moment you start your day with a workout, chances of you skipping workouts becomes very limited. Yeah, because that is also where you get your energy from, and working out is very, very important because it also creates or builds a shock absorber in your system, because stresses of life will always be there, but the systems that you create will help you manage that stress when it comes, because stress will always be there. But if you have a way of creating or building more of your dopamine and serotonin, that helps in fighting that stress. Because stress basically is your cortisol levels always being so high. And how do we do this? Cortisol levels and dopamine and serotonin always go, they go the opposite of each other. If your cortisol is up and then you bring in dopamine, naturally your cortisol will go down. So when you're stressed, it means that your cortisol levels are very high and you need to do something about it. Now that is where now exercise, nutrition, and rest come in, and it brings down the cortisol as the dopamine goes up. Yep.
All right. There's another question. How effective is walking?
Walking is very effective, but with the 5 components that I've spoken about, walking will only work on building your cardiovascular endurance, but you're not going to build muscle. Actually, like I said, aging is basically losing muscle and losing your flexibility. So that's why these 5 components are very, very important. That's why you need to understand what do you do in terms of how do I maintain or increase my muscular strength. If you're just walking, if you're just doing cardio alone, you're not really doing a lot of justice to your body. You're doing a lot of justice to your heart, but you're not doing justice to your muscles.
Okay. Yep. Maybe we can continue and then take the questions. I've seen we have another 3, but I think it's important that we also talk about the food, because where can I do body composition in Nairobi? And there are people who question why small or slender people work out or go to the gym. Please clarify.
So that's why I spoke about the 5 components. Going to the gym or working out is not about it's not about your body size. It's about your health. You'll find someone who's very thin, but they have a lot of cholesterol, and we call them they're fat from the inside. So you'll find that someone who looks chubby or fat, when you go and do maybe a test, you'll find that they are healthier than that person who looks thin, because you cannot really tell. There's someone who someone who's just big, but that's their natural, that is their genetic composition. That's just who they are. It doesn't mean that they are unhealthy. You can be thin and still be very, very unhealthy. So going to the gym is basically working on the 5 components: cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, and body composition. So it's not about you. It's not about how you look. Just be active. Being active works on your productivity. Even if you're thin and you're not doing much, you're not really working on controlling your cortisol levels, which is your stress levels. When you work out, you're increasing your dopamine. That's why I normally talk about wellness from a holistic perspective, whereby we're not just looking at physical fitness only. We look at physical, we look at mental, it affects your mental. We look at emotional, like what support, and then we talk about spiritual. And spiritual wellness is not about religion. It's about you understanding yourself, understanding your purpose. What are the things? Who am I really? Why am I really here? Those are the things that we talk about, when we talk about spiritual wellness. Maybe that's something we'll talk for another day, because it's a very, very wide topic.
All right, we can move on.
Okay, now let's go to nutrition. And the reason why nutrition, 70% of whether we want to gain or lose weight, 70% is based on nutrition, not exercise. Exercise is just to make us fit. But nutrition is where by now we know, that is where now we either lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight. And I'll simplify nutrition. I'll really, really try to simplify nutrition. So in nutrition, we have someone is writing down. We have carbs or carbohydrates. We have proteins. Then we have fat. Okay, those are the 3. We call them macronutrients. Yeah, macro means big. There's micronutrient, and these are macronutrients. So the body requires all of this. So the first concept I want us to talk about is there's no good food and bad food. That's something I want us to get very clear. We should not categorize foods as what is good and what is bad. We should categorize food as what we need to eat more and what we need to eat less. That is how we're supposed to categorize food. What we need to eat more and what we need to eat less. Okay? So when I go to what we need to eat more is, your body requires carbs, because you'll find a lot of people who will tell you, oh, I'm doing a keto diet. Keto means they're doing just proteins and vegetables only. And it really helps in losing weight. But the problem with that kind of a diet is it's not sustainable. What we are looking for is sustainability. We are not looking for a program that we'll do for 2 months and then after that we cannot do it anymore. We want something that can fit into your lifestyle, your everyday life, without it disrupting your life. So it's the same foods that you eat every day. That's why when you come to me, I'll not write a diet plan. I'll just break down what nutrition is all about so that you have the basic understanding of what nutrition is all about. So that now when you go home, you know, what are my carbs, what are my proteins, what are my fats? That way it becomes very, very easy for you to create a nutrition plan for yourself very easily. So let me get into that. So now, when we talk about carbs and proteins contain the same amount of calories per gram. So we cannot say that carbs are bad and proteins are good. That's a lie. Your body requires carbs. Your body requires proteins. Your body requires fat. There are different elements. There are actually different things that those foods do to your body. So you require all of them. So now, carbs contain 4 kilocalories per gram. Per every gram of a carb, it has 4 kilocalories. The same as protein. So a protein and a carb contain the same amount of calories per gram. So someone who will demonize carbs and tell you that carbs are bad is lying to you, because they're not really breaking down to you why you need to eat less carbs and more protein. And this is where I'm going. So now, the difference between a carb and a protein is how the body processes them. They contain the same amount of calories per gram, but the difference is how the body processes them. If you did biology, you'll remember that digestion and absorption of carbs or starch starts in your mouth. And the moment it starts in your mouth, because your saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase. Yeah? Salivary amylase is responsible for absorption and digestion of starch. So what does that mean? That means that the moment you've started chewing carbs, absorption has already started taking place. That is why carbs, it's very easy for carbs to make you fat, because the moment you've just started eating it, already it's being absorbed into your system. Okay? So now what do we now do? We have to categorize carbs into two. There's what we call complex carbs and simple carbs. Okay? Complex carbs and simple carbs. Complex carbs are good. Simple carbs are not bad, but they need to be eaten less. The difference between a complex carb and a simple carb is only one: fiber. The only difference between these two is complex carbs contain fiber. And this fiber is very, very important for in your stomach, in your gut. There's bacteria which feeds on this fiber, and that is now what maintains a good gut health. So that fiber is very, very key. Now, this fiber again also makes carbs very difficult to break down. So when that complex carb becomes harder to break down, it means it takes longer. So it means it takes longer in your system. And then when it has fiber, it releases sugar or energy slowly over a longer period of time. So you have sustained energy. The reason why we normally have a sugar rush and then a sugar crash is because simple carbs they release all the energy. They release all the sugar at once. So you have so much energy at once, and then it gets depleted at once again. That is where now we have a lot of issues with when we do simple carbs. And kids love doing sweets, chocolates, ice cream, and then within a very short time, they're hungry again, and they have so much energy. That's why now people who have diabetes are supposed to do more of complex carbs, because complex carbs release sugar, which is energy, for a longer duration of time. Slowly, it's controlled. It's controlled sugar release, so controlled energy release for a longer period of time. And that means that it also stays longer in your system. So we normally feel hungry because signals are normally sent from the stomach to the brain that there's nothing left in the stomach. So now the hunger pangs come in. That is how we get hungry. So if there's still food in the stomach, then we won't feel hungry. That's why we need to eat foods that are more filling. So that's where now the fiber comes in. complex carbs. So I didn't say simple carbs are bad. I just said there are times when you'll need that simple carb, especially when you're just about to do a workout and you'll need so much energy to just kickstart with your workout in the next 20, 30 minutes. They really, really help. That's why I said we have to categorize what you need to eat more and what you need to eat less, and what you need to, when to eat. So now we are left with protein. Yeah, we have to do the more proteins are actually the building blocks of muscles in the body. So they are very, very important for us. And then there's fat. Now, the fat that we consume does not convert to the fat in our body. The fat in our body comes from carbs. Okay, I've seen someone asking examples of simple and complex carbs. So simple carbs are basically refined things like chapati, cakes, things like ice cream. Those are processed. Anything that is processed that does not have fiber is a simple carb. Anything that is unprocessed, washes, those ndomas, boiled corn, we have barley. As long as it's not processed and it has a lot of fiber, that is a complex carb. It's that simple. So the only difference between these two is just the fiber. Okay. So I was talking about fat, and I was saying it's not the fat that we consume from the food that makes us fat. What makes us fat is the carbs break down to glucose. A carbohydrate breaks down to glucose, and fruits are also carbs, but it's only that it's in fructose form. There's fructose, there's maltose, and then there's sucrose. Yeah. So sucrose is basically the glucose or the sugar that we consume most of the time, but most of it always ends up being converted to glucose in the body. That glucose is what gives us energy. Energy that is not used is stored as fat. That's why timing of taking your carbs is very important. You should not be taking your carbs at night. Don't take your carbs at night, because they'll convert to glucose. That glucose is supposed to convert to energy. There's nothing much you're going to do with that energy at night. So most of it will convert to fat. So the best times for you to have your carbs is in the morning up to lunchtime. After lunchtime, don't do any carbs, because what will happen is most of it will just convert to fat. In the morning, we really need carbs because your brain uses 30% of energy that comes from food. 30% is used to fuel your brain. So if you're not having carbs, anyone who has tried a keto diet will say this. That time when you do a keto diet, you normally have what you call a brain fog. You can't really focus on one thing. Your brain is everywhere. Your mind is everywhere at the same time. And this is because your brain and your muscle are connected through the nervous system. And the nervous system is run by hormones, and this is adrenaline. So when there's no fuel in your brain to push adrenaline to your working muscles, that's why you'll find someone has eaten, they're full, but they don't have energy. Why? Because there's no communication between the muscle and the brain. So flexing and relaxation of the muscle depends on adrenaline that comes from the brain. So you have to fuel your brain, and that's why carbs are very, very important. But it's important to know when to have them. I've seen someone who's asking if sugar makes people fat. And like I've just said, yes, it's glucose that ends up being converted to fat. But at the end of the day, it depends. Are you very active? If you're very, very active, you need that sugar. It will end up being used as energy, so it will end up not being stored as fat. Chances of us storing so much fat because we're consuming sugar are because we are very sedentary. For someone who works in a place that is very physical, they need that sugar, and that sugar will only help them. They become more active, and it helps them build muscle. So it's okay when it's converted to power and energy that helps us build muscle. It's only bad when we're sedentary, we're sitting the whole day and there's nothing we're doing. All of that converts to fat. And the first place our body stores fat is around our belly area before it goes to other parts of the body. Okay. So we need to have, someone is asking about skin tags. Yes and no. Skin tags, it depends on your system. And basically, when I say your system, I'm talking about your health there are so many other things that make you healthy. So it's not just exercise. There's maybe nutrition, maybe you have you're predisposed to maybe an environment, the kind of foods that you're consuming. It's a lot of things that come to play. It's not just carbs. Carbs might be just one of the contributors, but it's not, we can't just say it's carbs. We can't pinpoint and say it's carbs. It's a lot of factors that come into play. Yeah. So I've spoken about carbs, I've spoken about proteins, I've spoken about fat. Fat is very important because this is now what helps your nervous system is made of fat. Your brain is made of fat. Very, very important. You need to consume more fat, and the healthy fats are now the avocados, the olive oils. All these oils are very, very important in nerve system stimulation and all that. So let me talk a bit about veggies. And veggies sometimes veggies are very important because of the fiber that comes from veggies. And they help us lose weight and they help us lose fat because 90% of a veggie is water. 90%, note that down. 90% of a veggie is water. The other 10% of a veggie is fiber and micronutrients or micros. Now, the 90% that is water means that the likelihood of veggies making you fat is very limited. And then the other 10% that has fiber and micronutrients that help in most of the functions of the body are really important. And when you do a lot of proteins in veggies, what happens is what we call, I don't know if you've heard of when you take in calories, when your body is digesting food, the other term for digestion in biology is called thermogenesis. Thermogenesis, in thermo means heat. So it means that during digestion, your body produces heat to break down the food that you're consuming. So depending on how difficult that food is to break down, your body ends up using a lot of calories that is stored in your body to burn that, to digest that food. So that's why when people do keto diets, when they do a lot of proteins and vegetables, they end up having what you call a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit comes in not because you're eating one meal a day. A calorie deficit comes in depending on what you're consuming. If you're consuming a lot of proteins and veggies, because they have a lot of fiber, you end up getting in calories, yes, but the calories that you're expending in breaking it down is much more than what you're getting. That is where now we get, the more calories you get in and there's less going out, we gain weight. This is the math that I want most people to understand about nutrition. The more calories, when calories come in, what is bad is how much is left, how much is stored by the body, not what is coming in. And that now depends on what we are consuming. If you're consuming a lot of proteins and vegetables, we end up spending a lot of it during digestion, that we end up having very little left to store. Okay? But when you're consuming carbs, because carbs are very easy to break down and store, we end up not using so much energy to break it down. So what happens is we end up storing more. So the more calories you store, you gain weight. So calories in versus calories out. If the calories in are more than the calories out, we gain weight. If the calories in are less than the calories out, we lose weight. If there's a balance between the calories in and calories out, we maintain. And now, counting calories sometimes does not really help so much because we don't put into consideration how active we are. There's so many things that come into play. That's why counting calories is always counterproductive because you won't really get it right. That's why you just need to first of all understand the basics of nutrition first. Once you understand the basics of nutrition, it becomes very, very easy. Even if you travel and you're anywhere, there's food, you'll just know these are my carbs, these are my proteins, these are my veggies. I need to put 3/4 of my plate is supposed to be proteins and veggies. Then I need this carb, especially depending whether it's morning or lunchtime. If it's evening, then I don't really need this carb at all. let me just have the protein and veggie and be on a calorie deficit. So that's how we lose weight. For someone who wants to gain weight, because we always make assumptions that everyone who comes to the gym wants to lose. There are some who want to gain. And those ones who want to gain, they need to eat more carbs. The more carbs you eat, it slows down your metabolism, and then now you end up building more. You build more mass. Okay. So I think, is there any question so far on nutrition? Anything may have not been clear that I thought I answered? Because I saw someone asking about intermittent fasting.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. There's somebody saying, what is the role of fasting in our health and fitness journey?
Okay, so fasting is very important, but it's not a long-term thing. It depends on when we do it. There's what we call autophagy. Autophagy is where we fast for around 72 hours. What that does is there's regeneration of new cells. It ends up changing a lot of factors in our body and in our system, and it's very healing. But the problem that most people have is people have made it a lifestyle. It's not, you cannot sustain that by doing that every day. You're supposed to eat, understand nutrition, and then know when. You can do it as a detox. It's not a lifestyle. It's not sustainable. You don't do that every day. It's something that you will say, at the end of every month, I'll do 3 days to fast. But it's not something that you can do as a lifestyle. Because once you start trying doing that as a lifestyle, then you're not going to be productive at all, because you'll not have energy. I spoke about how the brain is fueled by carbs or by glucose. So if you end up not having carbs for the longest time, what you're going to do is now your brain is actually going to shrink. It's not really going to be productive. And a lot of people who have done intermittent fasting, they'll tell you, it gets to a point where there's no energy at all. And how are you productive when there's no energy? So what we need to just do is find a balance on what works for you. Okay.
Yeah, because there's a question on, speaking of stopping carbs in the intake by lunch, what if one is on IF and prefers to have only lunch and dinner by 6 p.m. with some carbs? That is the 16 to 8 hour plan.
Yeah, 16. Okay, the 16 to 8 hour plan, it's okay, but the best you can do if you want to lose weight is the sooner you stop taking carbs, the better, because if you take it in the evening, yes, you will do your dinner at 6, but you're not going to be very active. So where is that carb going to go? That glucose that ends up being stored, it ends up being stored as fat. So the 16, and this is where people need to understand the 16-8 thing. It doesn't have to be lunch and evening. You can actually do it 10 and 4 or 5. Or you can do 11 and that's 6, but now do more proteins. You can do most of your carbs during your first meal. And then on the second meal, which is your dinner, do as much protein and veggies and have as little carbs as you can, or have more complex carbs. That still helps. Because what we are trying to do here is we are trying to reduce the amount of calories that we end up storing as fat at the end of the day. That's basically what we are trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And hey, this one I have to ask. Role and risk of Ozempic injections.
Okay, so Ozempic injections are basically diabetes medication. And what the Ozempic medication do is, when you have diabetes, basically what you have is insulin resistance. Yeah, insulin resistance means most people have what we call type 2 diabetes, not type 1, type 2 diabetes, which is a lifestyle disease. So what basically that means is, when you consume sugar, your body is not able to produce insulin. Insulin is what brings or controls sugar in your body. So now what happens is, you have insulin in your system, but the insulin cannot get into the cell to control the sugar. So what does this do? This happens because there's a lot of fat. There's a fat layer around the cell that stops the insulin from getting in to control the sugar. So what does Ozempic do? Or what do those insulins do? Insulin is like a key. it opens the cell so that it goes in and controls the sugar. So what Ozempic medications do, they control your hunger, but in the long run, they end up damaging the cell. So it's not something that is, and I'll tell you, in another few years, it's going to have a very negative effect, because it will get to a point when someone gets diabetes, the insulin, or they'll have to get bigger doses of the medication. Or maybe it will get to a point where their bodies will resist medication that is insulin, and it ends up being, because naturally the body has a way of healing itself, but what you're doing is you're killing its ability to heal itself by introducing more things that end up damaging your immune system. So in the long run, you'll end up being dependent. So people just need to, first of all, that's why I say all of us are different. We have different body shapes, body types. First of all, we need to accept ourselves and love ourselves the way we are. And then from there, we start building from there. But this thing of everyone wants to look like someone else is what is bringing us all these issues and all these shortcuts. And as we all know, there's no day a shortcut will ever be sustainable, or it will ever really be beneficial in the long run. It always has a side effect. And this is a side effect that they never tell you. Yeah.
All right, and then there's a question on how about the women hormonal cycle? Some days the diet cravings and appetite is out of the norm.
Yeah. So women have 4 cycles in a month. So those cycles also play a big role. And there are times when you really you have those cravings, and because your system keeps on changing. So you need to, and when the cravings come, we always crave for 3 things. We crave for either fat, we crave for either salt or sugar. It's those 3 things that our body craves for: fat, salt, or sugar. So what you need to do is, that's why I said they are not good and bad foods. We're just trying to see how much are we like, what do we need to have more, or what do we need to have less? If you will eat your chocolates, if you will eat your pizza, it's once, twice a week, it's not a problem at all. Because at the end of the day, we are meant to enjoy food. Food is one of the things that give us pleasure. Food are one of the things that gives us euphoria. So that's why I said from the beginning, we are not supposed to label food as this is good or bad. We just need to know, what do we need to eat more and less, and when. That's it. Yeah.
And I know we are running short of time, but there are 2 questions. One is, can I conclude that the key to your body handling carbs right is the triggering of right nerves once you eat? Is that so? How do I maintain that right trigger mechanism in the body?
So the trigger mechanisms, they don't work in isolation. There's a lot of factors that come into play, and the factors that come into play is, how active are you? What exactly is it that you're consuming? How is, and the last thing I was going to talk about is rest or reset. How when you're sleeping, at the end of the day, there's what we call melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that is produced when you're sleeping. Melatonin is responsible for resetting the system. It's responsible for burning fat in your body, for building muscle and all that. So if the best times to normally sleep is between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Why? Because melatonin production is highest between 10 and 2 a.m. And the higher your melatonin levels, the better your recovery, because rest means reset. Basically, you're resetting your system. And when you reset your system, you have a phone, you have whether it's Android or whatever. There are times when it stops functioning the way it's supposed to function. What do you normally do? Switch it off and then switch it back on. Once you switch it back on, it retains its function again. Why? Because of the reset. So it's the same way sleep does that too. The cravings, most of these cravings, sometimes you'll find is we are not sleeping enough. That insomnia also affects our hormones. And now with those hormones, sometimes we feel, the body or the mind feels that it's in danger. So when it feels it's in danger, it wants comfort foods. That's why it craves for sweet things. Yeah. So there's a lot of factors around that. It's not just about eating the food by itself. Are you very active? What time do you have what is your sleep hygiene like? What time do you have your carbs? What times do you have your meals? So it's a lot of things around it. Yeah.
And I think there's a question on, can you have fruits for lunch instead of food? That is if you want to cut weight. And then how do you understand your body composition? Are there tests for the same?
Yes. So basically, I'm at Higher Fitness. We are in Kilimani. So we do what we call a body composition analysis. Most people do body composition analysis, and the places where people do body composition analysis, they really don't understand how to break down those numbers and come up with a program. Like, for example, if you find your fat percentage is on the obese side, and then we'll find that your muscle percentage is on the lowest side, we'll find that your body water percentage is very low, because your body water percentage goes with your fat. The higher your fat percentage, the lower your body water percentage, because fat and water fight for space in your body. So the more you work out, the more you create more room for your body storing water. And this is not about how much water you drink. You can be drinking so much, but what your body sustains depends on your body composition. So we normally do a body composition analysis. You'll find most healthy U's also do that. If you go to any healthy U around you, they'll do comprehensive body composition analysis, and they'll break it down to you and make you understand what it means. Yeah. But if you want to come where I am, we are at Higher Fitness, which is in Kilimani, just next to Yaya. We normally do that also.
Okay. Touch on, hey, are we ever going to finish? Can you summarize the can you summarize the rest? Because I know that's part of everything. Just maybe
okay,
quickly.
Rest. I think I've also touched on it already, and I spoke about the melatonin and how the rest in terms of what time you sleep, the best time to sleep, and why. The best time to sleep, I've said, is between 10 and 4 a.m. Because that's where the melatonin production is highest, and melatonin production is highest at that time because there's less interruption. So when you sleep is normally in cycles. If any of you understand, sleep is normally in cycles. There's rapid eye movement and goes all the way to deep sleep. So every cycle is normally 90 minutes. 90 minutes is 1.5 hours. So after every 1.5 hours, it resets again. After every 1.5 hours, it resets again. So the cycles, the more continuous they are, the more the melatonin production is. So if your sleep is disrupted in between, your melatonin production goes back to zero. When you fall, when now you go back to sleep again, it starts increasing again. So that's why you're normally told not to drink a lot of water before you go to sleep, because now when you wake up for a susu break, you're interrupting melatonin production. Yeah. So basically, like I say, the only organ in your body that is supposed to not to rest is your heart. Yeah, but the rest are supposed to rest. When they rest, they reset, and when they reset, we become more productive because everything works according to how it was meant to work, and that's basically rest. And then lastly, I'll talk about draining the lymphatic system, which is we really work out and we do all these things, but we really need to also understand why we need to go for massage once in a while. If you go to professionals who understand massage, there's what we call Swedish massage, depending on the pressure of the therapist. They know how to drain the lymphatic system. So having a lymphatic system that is not drained is like you doing service for your car and not changing the oil filter. You put in new oil, you'll put in everything new, but without the filter, you've actually not done anything. So you have worked out, you've eaten well, you've done all these things. But if you don't drain your lymphatic system, that is where the toxins are stored. So that's why now proper stretching and a proper massage gets rid of that. So sisi massage, naona Richie anacheka. Sisi massage, unapatanga home, like go get a professional massage and get a therapist who understands how to drain the lymphatic system. It really, really helps. Yep. I think maybe that will be my summary. If there's maybe any question.
Well, we will never fear here. We will never finish. There are so many questions. Are there repercussions on eating heavy breakfast and skipping lunch, then eating dinner? What are the disadvantages?
Okay, the disadvantages are heavy breakfast is perfect. It's okay because you need that energy. Your brain needs 20 to 30% of your energy goes to your thinking and all that. So the reason why I'm really against dinner is at the end of the day, what you're doing is your body will store more calories when you go to sleep because you will not be very active. So the best will be if you have a heavy breakfast and then a heavy lunch, and then that's it. At dinner, you can have something very light, just a protein or a veggie, very, very light at dinner. Why? So that at the end of the day, there's very little carbs or there's very little glucose left to be stored, because the more glucose left to be stored, the more calories or the more fat your body ends up storing. And if you remember during Kitambo, our old folks, they were actually very active, and the was very manual. They'll wake up very early in the morning, go to the shamba, they'll work till around 10, 11, then come back. And what will happen is that is a proper workout. Even nowadays, ourselves, we really don't work out 2 or 3 hours. These people used to work out 4 or 5 hours a day. That's why these people were very, very healthy, very active. The foods they were eating were organic. And then they'll have their breakfast, and then they'll have lunch and dinner. Dinner used to be early. Dinner used to be around 5 or 6 because they never used to have lights. So they used to depend on kulikuwa na giza. So when they had to have their dinner before the sun sets. So that actually helped them in recovery. That really helped in how much the body ended up storing in terms of calories. And also, let's remember the food was very, very organic. Most of the food we're having right now is GMO. It has a lot of chemicals, a lot of pesticides. So we're actually in a lot of danger by the fact that we eat bad foods, and then we are very sedentary. And then we are also not resting enough. So we're really, really killing us.
Mm. And I think there's somebody saying you did not answer the fruit question. Eating fruit instead of lunch.
Mm. Fruits, at the end of the day, like I said, fruits are still carbs, and it's okay. It's fructose, it's glucose, it's okay. Lunch is fine. At lunch is fine. What we should not be doing is having fruits at night. Fruits are not vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are two very different things. Yeah. Fruits at night means we're still doing, it's just like you're doing carbs at dinner. So fruits at lunch, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah. Okay. How often should you detox?
Depends. Maybe once a month, twice a month. Depends. There are people who can do it weekly. There are people who can do it monthly. There are people who can do it maybe quarterly. It depends on how you feel, because our bodies are also different. And the more you detox, the more you feel alive. And you just need to understand how you do it. Because at the end of the day, all these things, like I said from the beginning, is sustainability. How sustainable is it? And how does it work for you? I don't just do it because everyone else is doing it. Because I might be on medication and I want to go on a detox diet. So I'll end up actually damaging my organs. So I'm not really helping myself. And that's why it's recommended that we always get this from experts to let us understand our bodies, our conditions, and what we can do and what we can't do. Because sometimes we might end up damaging the system instead of working on building it.
Mm. All right, Richard, it's your time to shine.
Yeah, I've laughed because of that analogy of the oil. I have really loved it. My question, which you can answer briefly, can you measure cortisol? Are there ways that I can come to your place? Because that is the big thing that people keep on mentioning. I'm stressed, and one of the greatest indicators is the presence of cortisol. Can you get into the lab and say, oh, this is the match I have?
Okay, so first of all, let me break it down. Cortisol is not bad. Cortisol is good, and it's very important to have cortisol. And a healthy cortisol level is supposed to be around between 300 and 600. Now, cortisol is, we normally have what we call a stress response. A stress response means when you have targets to achieve and all these things to achieve, it's your cortisol that pushes you to do that. When you're stressed, there's how we respond to stress, and it's in three ways. We either fight, we flee, or we freeze. You know that the 3 Fs: fight, flee, freeze. So if it's something that we cannot handle, we run away, we flee. If it's something that we can handle, we fight, we stay and fight. If it's something that we don't know whether to fight or flee, we freeze. So that is how cortisol is important in getting us out of danger. But now what we need now to do is when stress becomes too much for us to manage, it graduates into depression. Now that is where now you need to go and test your cortisol. But they'll still just tell you the same thing. Go work out, do something that is going to lift your dopamine and serotonin levels, because they are going to naturally bring down your cortisol level. Is that okay, Richie?
Maxi, thank you very much. This thing is deep. It is a whole science. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is. And now, Hilary, as you think about your parting shot, I see Anne is saying when you go for deep tissue. Yes, deep tissue is the OG of all massages. You walk out of the massage room perpendicular to the ground. Anyway, Florence is saying, someone told me humans are the only mammals that take milk after infancy. So is milk good after infancy to adulthood?
Milk is okay, but it's not a must. But we can get most of what we try to get from milk is the calcium, but you can always get it from other sources, because sometimes also there's we have lactose. Most people are lactose intolerant without even knowing. Yeah, and sometimes it brings a lot of issues to us. So if milk works for you, take it. If it doesn't, it's also okay. So it's not a must. And that's why I spoke about nutrition. I just talked about what we need to eat more and what we need to eat less. But milk is fine if it works for you. So I don't condemn any food. No foods are bad. No foods are too good, better than others.
Yeah. All right, your parting shot.
This is my parting shot. For those that believe in God or spirituality, your body, taking care of your body is the biggest form of worship you can ever give back. And why do I say this? I say this because everything was created everything was spoken into existence, everything. But the only thing that God took time and built and made with his hands was your body. And it says he made you in his image and likeness. And then he calls your body his temple. So when you're taking care of your body, it's not selfish. When you work out, when you go for that massage, it's not selfish at all. Actually, you're serving God by doing that. And when you do that, you work on your energy and vitality. You live longer. You have more impact in society. If you are a father, you show up better for your kids. If you are a mother, you show up better and you live longer. Your kids are going to be more productive with how long you live in this world. The longer you live, because when you say, I'm ready to die for my family, that's a lie, because they would really need you. You're of no benefit to them when you're dead. You're of no benefit to them when you're unhealthy. So the more healthy you are, the more you take better care of your health, you're actually taking care. You're actually being selfless for them. That will be my parting shot.
Wow, that is fantastic. I love it. We are the temple of God.
Yeah. So Anne is saying, and for those who've been thinking of starting their fitness journey next Monday since 2011, tomorrow is the best time to start. Just start, the rest will fall into place. Your body is the only constant place you get to live in for the rest of your life. Hey, Mbaka, you have come with inspiration, Anne. Hey. I love your parting shot as well. Thank you so much, Hilary, for taking your time to join us. And you can share your contact details on the chat just in case somebody wants to contact you or just probably seek guidance. Like you said, you're a consultant and a coach. So
yes,
somebody may need to get in touch with you. So you can put that on the chat. And you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. And I see Wilfred saying a very insightful presentation. Kudos Atara Solutions and Hilary, very much appreciated. And Jerry says, I love that parting shot. Veronica says, I loved this. Thank you. Becoming the best version of me soon. Thank you so much. Yes, you can put the number on the chat. I hope you're doing that as we come to an end. And please join the mentorship program, which is starting on 4th of March. We shall really take you through details on how to take your HR game to the next level. You will get to interact with different people. You will also get to have peer mentorship, and you'll get to form a community that you can take beyond the mentorship program. And it's only 8 weeks. I have seen Paul has already put the registration link on the chat. So please do that, and we shall see you on the 4th of March. Next week, we shall be discussing NSSF. This is mainly for Kenyans or those global HR and payroll and business owners as well. If you want to understand the new mathematics behind NSSF, please do join us next Tuesday. That's what we shall be discussing. And please join our WhatsApp group if it's your first time to join us. Please join our WhatsApp group and to get to know what's happening in Atara Solutions. I'm just going to copy paste what you've written because you sent to hosts and panelists. Let me just do that. So everyone, there is Hilary's contact details. Yes, and Peggy says, can I now start with a few stretches before I sleep? I say yes, please go for it. Hey, somebody was asking, is it okay to take omega-3 tablets every day?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. I think next time we're going to be discussing what do we call them? Supplements for those over 40. We all know what we are going into. We are not shouting. So thank you so much, Hilary. I hope you have had fun. And I thank you so much for really enlightening us on matters physical fitness and wellness and how that culminates into productivity. We are grateful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Anne, for linking us up. And thank you, Richard, of course, for being here. And the entire team at Atara Solutions, of course, thank you. To our audience, we really appreciate. We cannot do this without you. Please follow us on Instagram, Atara Solutions, like our Facebook page, Atara Solutions. Connect with us on LinkedIn, Atara Solutions, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Get It Right with Atara Solutions. And this is where we get it right every Tuesday from 8 o'clock. And we are on the 3rd session of season 8. So please do join us going forward. And as you can see, there's a lot in store for you. So thank you so much and have yourselves a lovely night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.